Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of How to Make a Living with Music. In this episode, I get to talk to a close friend of mine, Jerry, or BigJerr, or Scarlit, and he makes a full-time living with music, specifically with teaching. He teaches at Icon Collective. He does courses with Warp Academy and Evenant Online and Academy FM. He's an Ableton Certified Trainer. He does one-on-one lessons. He does remixes. He does production work for clients. And we had a nice talk here for about like 50-something minutes, go through a whole bunch of things from how he did his journey getting into it, what he would do if he had to kind of navigate now as a new artist or musician, music creator, and a whole bunch of other music business stuff. So I hope you get a lot out of it. Please enjoy. Sweet, man. All right. So I guess the first way I just wanted to start this off is just let everyone on my page that hasn't seen you before, because we did do a video together, who you are, what you're all about, and what's going on in your life.
Okay, cool. Yeah. My name is Jerry. My artist name is BigJerr. I'm an Ableton Certified Trainer. If you don't know what that means, there's less than 200 of us in the world. So it's kind of an elite group, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool to be a part of. It's opened a lot of doors for me, and I'm sure we'll talk about that as we talk tonight. I make bass music. Kind of like future bass, dubsteppy, trappy kind of music. So definitely on the darker, heavier side. I teach full-time at Icon Collective, and I'm also a instructor at Warp Academy and Evenant.
Awesome, man. So everyone who's watching, Jerry is entirely a full-time music creator person, and I'm not. And so I did a call with Ruslan where I talked about him and his journey. And one thing I've noticed with talking to musicians is that every single person has a completely different story. Like some people get into, like Adam Ivy does music marketing and Ruslan is doing mostly music, but you have a path in teaching and stuff like that as the path. So just to kind of like get into that, what was the thing that kind of kicked you off into teaching? Like what was your first, like, I guess, paid gig doing teaching work?
Yeah, sure. So I was working at a restaurant, Outback, right? So like I just hated it. Brought the worst out of me like every day. So I knew that I had to kind of get into something else, and playing shows is great and all, but I mean, and I love playing shows and I'm trying to grow my brand and everything, but I know a lot of people that have full on brands where they're gigging and they still have other jobs. Like I know a lot of people that are playing shows like EDC and what's the other one that's really popular? That doesn't matter. Anyway, the big festivals and they have a day job. They have to go back to their day job. So I knew that I did not want to do that. I knew I needed to work in music. So I knew that like getting Ableton certified was something that I really needed to do. And while I was training or practicing to, get ready for my certification, some of my friends started taking lessons from me. And of course I didn't charge my friends, but then some of their friends wanted to take lessons. So I had to start charging them. So around that time, I was getting a lot of clients coming over and just paying me. At that time, it was only $40, but I was doing so many lessons that that $40 piles up when you do like, 6 lessons a day every day, Yeah. And then there was a DJ school right by my house, and it was an actual wax DJ school where I would teach turntable and also CDJs. And that was my first like teaching gig where I went into like a place to teach. And
what is a CDJ?
CDJ, oh my God, that's like the standard for for DJing these days. Like before it used to be Techniques, like turntables at 1200 series, I think. And now it's just CDJs. Like if you go to a club, you just bring your USB stick. I'm looking around for mine. I can't find it, but you just bring your USB stick. You don't bring any gear usually, and you just plug into the CDJs and you chicka.
No.
Right? So yeah. CDJs are your industry standard. It's kind of the modern day turntable, whatever.
So you actually kind of like, I know you did DJing, but I didn't know that it was like, I thought it was just something you did for fun. I didn't know it was it was actually a paid thing. And
I was resident DJ at Universal Studios for many months.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I was spinning in front of like thousands of people, pretty much every Friday night. It wasn't as much fun as it sounds, honestly, but because you're playing like really like cheesy, upbeat house music, like just the stuff that you would just hear on the radio is what they wanted. So couldn't be very expressive there, but it was fun nonetheless, you know? So yeah, no, I've been DJing. I've been DJing ever since. I'm actually a turntablist too. I've been DJing ever since I was a kid. I'm a lot older than I look. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But yeah, no. I've been DJing for 25 years. You know what I mean? It's like straight up. So crazy.
I've always wondered like how it just seems like such a weird thing for someone to get into. Like I've seen it in my Guitar Center, like turntables, and I always like spun them, and I'm like, why do people do this? And then of course now like actually making electronic music.
Well, when I was in college, I was DJing when I was at Westchester University. I was DJing like all the parties around the area. Me and my friend, it was like that was the deal. If we could bring a nitrous tank and not have to pay for the house, then I'll spin for free, you know. And then we would just sell nitrous balloons all night and DJ. That was our gig. We'd go around the town and we'd just come with the nitrous and the turntables. And I did that when I was 18, 17 when I was in college. It was crazy.
Wow. So from there, you know, you're teaching people on the side, you're teaching like DJing and stuff.
Yep.
And then doing DJing. When did you get into like, were you also doing music production then as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been producing music and making music ever since I was a kid. I was always doing that. I was like you, I was more into rock and stuff like that, metal and rock when I was younger. In fact, I moved out to LA to be a bass player, and not make bass music. That's a whole other story. But yeah. So, and then, you know, over time I switched to that. Yeah. So I was, like I said, like you, I've been playing music my whole life, and I've always been into like technology too. So, you know, making more like Linkin Park type music like you know what I mean? So like that kind of Evanescence, that kind of stuff when I was growing up, you know, and then, you know, which was great because then, you know, it was easy kind of getting into Ableton and dance music. It wasn't that much different than I was used to. Just how to learn how to synthesize, you know, that was the trick.
Yeah. I've noticed that the like journey from rock to, I guess, pop and EDM is like somewhat common. Because like, you know, you did that. I did that. Post Malone did that. And San Holo did that. And I'm sure that that's just like a service level thing. So it's, I don't know, maybe it's just like a kind of natural thing for someone to be all angsty and teenagey and be into rock and metal or something. I don't know. I mean, I still do rock and metal music too now, and obviously you do too. Because if anyone doesn't know, Jerry and I have a band called Murder Night.
That's right. Murder Night's gonna kill it for sure.
Shameless plug.
It's okay.
But, and who knows? Maybe by the time this video is out, depending on how long it takes me to edit, that's our new song will be out too.
That's true. That's true. I'm excited.
I'll let you know and on screen or something if it is. But
definitely.
So, at what point when did you decide to pursue the Ableton certification thing, since that was like such a pivotal part of kind of where you are now?
You know, it's funny. And this is kind of like why I have a YouTube channel too. It's like, okay, if people were to ask me like back in the day, like what do you want to do with music? Like what's your goal, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like my answer was always the same. I want to be a leader in the community. And really what I mean by that is when I was learning stuff and I would watch YouTube, I would have my favorite people, just like people who tune into your channel and stuff. You know, they like watching you or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'd have my favorite people and I would be genuinely thankful to them because I never met them or anything, but like they were sharing this information that at the time YouTube was relatively new at the time, and not new, but like, you know, it wasn't like it is now. And, you know, and it was really cool that these people were just sharing free information. It was mind blowing to me. And I wanted to be that person for somebody else. So a lot of the people that at the time, a lot of the people that I was watching, they were Ableton Certified Trainers. And actually one of my mentors, one of my first mentors, his name is Yuda Sidebrain. He was an Ableton Certified Trainer. And, you know, I just really looked up to him and as like, I just respected like his knowledge and everything. And I just wanted to do that too. Like I was like, wow, this guy is making a living, you know, teaching, and people respect him. He's an Ableton Certified Trainer. And at the time there was like much less than 200 in the world at the time. And I just wanted to be one of those people. So I knew that would open up more doors for me because like I said, if you've got a free weekend and a couple $1,000, you can get Pro Tools certified. Like, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? But like, there's like a 2-year waiting list right now to get Ableton certified. So they keep the numbers really low. So the trainers, it means something when a trainer is like, working at a school or doing a private lesson or doing an event. It actually means something. So I just knew I wanted to be in that if I could. And yeah, and that opened up a lot of doors for me after I got certified. So looking back, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made to follow my path, if you know what I mean.
Right. So what was that? Did that land you your first, I guess, course teaching opportunity, or did you also do the courses before?
Okay, so that landed me a job at Icon. I don't think they would have hired me if I wasn't Ableton certified. And it's actually cool because I think there might be 8 Ableton certified people, if I remember correctly, in LA, and Icon had 3. You know what I'm saying? So that was pretty huge. You know what I'm saying? So I think me being certified.
I don't know if you mentioned it. I mean, I know what Icon is, but did you mention what Icon was?
Icon Collective is a pretty popular music production school. Everybody from Slander to Nightmare to Sudden Death. I mean, everybody went to that school. I mean, there's so many people that I'm not even mentioning right now.
And it's more like a college essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like
The way, like, I mean, I haven't taken stuff at Icon. I've just seen it from the website and how you describe it, but like it's priced kind of like a college program. And I don't know if it's like an accredited thing. I think it's only music. You don't do like gen eds and stuff.
No, yeah, we don't.
It's like this weird hybrid between like an online course and a college, which is like super dope because I'm assuming people that are there, like they're not looking to take English too. Like they're
no, but it's a really well-rounded school. I think Sudden Death went there, but I know for sure. I know for sure. Like Jaws, Nightmare. I don't want to be like, because people like will be like, no, he didn't. Anyway,
I mean, there's been people that have
huge names, big names,
like,
big names.
Whichever ones, even if we're getting them wrong, there's been people.
So like, yeah, but it's a really well-rounded school. You're right, it is expensive, but like, it's a super well-rounded school. You learn everything from arrangement to studio techniques to Ableton. There's Ableton 1 and 2. You've got ear training, you learn synthesis, you learn music theory. I mean, it's when you get out of there, you can literally, I've seen people come in knowing nothing. Like, this is my first laptop. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then by level 4, they're like, I'm like, wow, you did that? That's incredible. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a really, really well-rounded school. Like, and what's really cool about going on campus is the same. I mean, I'm not trying to plug it, whatever, but I'm like,
yeah, that's the other cool aspect. It actually has a campus. Like, it's not just an online thing.
That's what I was a bit. Yeah. So I teach. I've made myself just an online instructor. But I used to be on campus as well. But what I was going to say is, like, right across the street, they have like I guess they're apartment complexes. They're not really affiliated with Icon, but everybody living there goes to Icon. So what's really cool is, I mean, they're changing buildings now, so I don't know if this is going to be applicable anymore. But what was really cool for many years is like, it's like almost like a very intense music school where you go to school and then you go back to your room and talk about music with your friends, and then you go back to school and you go back to your room and talk about, you see what I'm saying? Like it was almost like you never leave the environment. So no wonder these guys could just go from like 0 to 60 in a couple of years, or not even like 1 year, really. It's a year program.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like, just like in like a university or something. I mean, I went to school for mechanical engineering, and I didn't live on campus, but the fact that the people, like, whether you were or weren't, you're spending so much time there and making relationships. And it's one thing to like learn something on your own and then go do it. When you sit down in a group of people and work with something, and like universities try to like force that by making getting do group projects and stuff. But I would imagine that being at a school like that and living there, well, I'm sure it's also kind of a total party fest at times. It's probably super, super important, because the ability to, like, I don't know, like, so many creative people in one spot all trying to learn and get better. I'd think that now, if a couple of those people blow up, they're probably all working together now too, if they maintain those relationships.
Of course, it's like a big family there. You know what I'm saying? Like, for the most part, it's a big, like, everybody tries to help each other out, and yeah, there's always opportunities that we share and stuff. So no, it's a really, I mean, working at Icon's great. I can't knock it at all. It's it is my favorite job I've ever had by far, hands down, straight up. I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So aside from Icon, you also have done courses for Evenant online.
Yeah, definitely. So
I think you were involved in the Cymatics FM thing too.
I was actually. Yeah, I do have videos up on the Academy at the Academy FM. Yes, absolutely do. Yeah, I did it with them for maybe like they must have like maybe I don't know 60, 70 of my videos because they wanted so many. It was it was like 20 a week for a while, and I worked for many weeks with them. So it was good. It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was Evenant's great, man. Evenant is cool because they've cornerstoned like the whole cinematic orchestral thing that nobody else is really doing. So at the time I was really interested in like learning how to make orchestral music sound better. It was kind of a mystery to me at the time. And I ended up taking one of the courses. And I liked it so much that I reached out to Arn. I just sent him an email. And it took him a few months to get back to me. But would you believe it? He's like from Norway, I think. Again, don't quote me on that, but I think it's Norway. And right as he answered my email, he was moving to LA. So we ended up having lunch. Yeah, we ended up having lunch, and he like refunded my money and everything for the course. And we talked about doing because I told him I was into synthesis and stuff like that. So he was like, wow, we should do a cinematic synthesis course. And I was like, yeah, let's go. So we did it. And yeah, man, that's still selling to like, I sell a couple of those, not me, but we sell a couple of those probably every 2 weeks. I'm getting a sale still, and it's 3 years later. So they're really great, man. They have a really great platform. If anybody is out there that's interested in cinematic music or anything like that, like Evenant is like the only place that's really kind of doing it. You know what I mean? Which is great.
Yeah, I like the courses I've looked at. It's all good. I've never taken any of their courses, but I looked at them and I like that they're not just like how to use Serum, or how to use Ableton. It's all very specific. Sure. Like your course, like cinematic synthesis with Serum or something like cinematic sound design. Mm-hmm. And like that alone is super specific. And all the other courses seem like they're pretty much all equally specific in their own ways, which is nice because how many courses out there are there to like master Serum or master Ableton Live? There's like a million, but pretty much all the courses on Evenant seem like they're the only course like that in the world.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes sense because up until then, people were using sample packs and stuff like that. Like people that were fans of Evenant anyway, were using sample packs and stuff like that to create their stuff. So this gave them, and they all had synths, but this is what me and Arn kind of were speculating. They all had synths, but they just didn't know how to use them past like scrolling through presets or whatever. So the way we did it was we taught Serum from the ground up, but with the sounds we make like Brahms, or we make like pulse basses, or we make like, really like specific like Blade Runner type sounds, or we would make like stuff that was like with a specific movie that was maybe popular at the time. So people not only got to learn the synth, but when we did the exercises, we built out cinematic sounds. So they had now sounds that they could use in their projects that they actually made, and they learned the synth along the way. So yeah, it was, like you said, very specific, and it worked out great.
Right. Yeah. So did I miss any of the courses that you do? Any of the programs?
No, I don't think so. I did, like I said, I did a bunch for the Academy, and I've done several videos for the Icon program as well. And then, and yes, you know what you did, miss at least one. I did another, it's called, it was a Serum course that I did with Warp Academy. So it was like, like another ground up Serum course, but this one was more focused on bass music and popular music and not so cinematic. But me and Dan Larson did that video for Warp Academy. So yeah, that was one there. And I've done several like live streams with them as well. But no, as far as courses that you could purchase, I guess the Academy FM, Warp Academy, and Evenant. Yeah.
Awesome. So you also do like one-on-one teaching, right?
Yeah, of
like,
course. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
definitely.
guess between the courses and an icon and like one-on-one, like if you were to break up kind of the percentage wise, which kind of income source makes like the most versus, well, like not the most versus least, but like I don't know, in like general fractions, like is doing courses like half your income and then teaching is the other half, or is it kind of like a huge split, just for people who might be wondering what's the
Sure.
most
You have to
profitable
understand that icon is a full-time job. It's like, I only work 3 days a week, but I work the maximum hours I can there. So it's like 30 some hours.
that's pretty much full time.
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying. So, but they also count in like grading hours because I have to do like video feedbacks, which is a really great thing for icon, like where they'll send in the homework and you don't just be like, no, you suck. You actually like for a lot of the videos, you open up ScreenFlow and you'll be like, okay, good effort. This is what we could do, and let me give you. And if you did like an amazing job, I'll be like, okay, amazing job. Let me add a little value, and I'll show you some pro tips. Or it doesn't matter. So basically, I actually do live, not live, but like video recordings for homeworks every week. So I'm doing like little ScreenFlows for them like every single week. So you get paid for that too. So again, like I said, you get full-time hours and they pay pretty well. I've been there for, you get a raise every year if you do well. I do great, so, you get a raise every year. I've been there for several years. So, that it's a full-time job. It is. So like you could probably say what your full-time job pays you. Roughly, I'm getting something like that, now another thing, because again, like icon is one of those, like no other school is going to do that. Like no other school has the, and I think I'm not trying to talk out my ass here, but like, yeah, no other school that I know of has the kind of the kind of influx of students. Like there's so many students that want to go to icon, they actually have to buy a bigger building. That's what I remember how I was saying earlier. How they're going to move buildings. Like that's how many people want to go to icon. There's like a literal waiting.
So because of that, like your pay is actually, you're on salary.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I'm not on salary. No, I'm not on salary. I get hourly, and that's better for me because
okay, yeah,
I don't want to be on salary because then my brother's on salary and they have him come in on Sundays.
Right, yeah, I mean, I guess in that way, I'm not even on a salary technically, although I kind of am. Or either way, but what I mean is that it's not like sale based.
No, it's not exactly. No. It's the same. It's the same money every single time in and time out. And then, like I said, as long as you're doing well, you get a raise every year too. So, so it's like they treat us well, man. And they're making money. You know what I mean? They're making money. They're making money over there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a business. Money. They gotta pay the overhead. The buildings, I'd imagine.
Yeah. They're making money.
Expensive and,
they're making money.
So like, would you say that's like 80% of like your total?
I would say that's the majority of my money, but Evenant pays my rent has been paying my rent for, not only pays my rent, but every month, but for 3 years now, but got my wife a very nice wedding ring. And I was able to, for like, cause when we launched, like, we got like all those sales at once, right? And then they trickle in obviously over the years, but what I got like at that, I mean, whatever, I'm not trying to, like, it doesn't matter. I was able to finally propose to my wife and get a nice ring for her, which was a big moment in my life, which was like going from like some kid that was just living week to week to now having enough money to not only live well, but, buy an actual ring for, like an engagement ring.
So engagement rings are not
no,
cheap.
They're not cheap. No. So, but it's totally worth it because she's beautiful. And we have a kid coming, as you know, which is crazy. So it's all going really great. Anyway, so that was great. Like I can't say enough good things about that. And I don't know that's one of those perfect storm things because again, my wife's like, you should do another course for Evenant. And I'm like, yeah. But like, and I want to, but like, it's like one of those perfect storm things where like, cinematic synthesis, it just sounds so cool. Right. And like, and like, it's like the only synth course on their site, and the graphic is really cool. It's just one of those perfect storm things where like it just works totally in that environment right there,
So the scenarios where you got into icon sound like super rare. Like if someone wanted to kind of replicate your path to being a full-time musician with like teaching and courses and stuff, it seems like Icon would be something that'd be very hard to replicate because you
I mean, of course, so is getting Ableton certified. But you know what, man? It's kind of like getting in first. I mean, a lot of these DJs or producers get in first. You know what I'm saying? You know, your Nightmares and obviously Skrillex, who started the game. I mean, these guys are the guys that are actually making money in the game. You know what I'm saying? Because they got in first. You know, sure, you might be able to land a tour, but you're not going to make Skrillex money ever, no matter what you do. I mean, like, unless you invent a new genre like he did. You know what I'm saying? So, like, no matter what you do, you're not going to make Skrillex money. You're not going to. You know what I'm saying? Because he did it first, right? So it's one of those things where, you know, I knew that, like, at the time, Icon was, like, ready to blow up. Like, when I started teaching there, Sullivan King's another person that went there. I mean, Company is another person that went there. I can name him. There's a lot. Like, there's a lot. Anyway, when I taught Company, not taught Company, but he was in one of my classes. I mean, he's an intelligent guy. I didn't personally show him anything. he did sit in my class, though. Anyway, also
that counts. That totally counts.
Also, Scott from Slander was in my class. You know, so that was the time when I was teaching over there. So it was like right when all of those guys were like ready to blow. You know what I'm saying? Sullivan King. I didn't teach Sullivan King or Nightmare. They were there right before I started teaching there. So that was around the time that I started teaching there. So I knew that, like, they were going to blow up or Dubspot was going to blow up. I was like, one of these two schools is going to do it. And when I went to Icon, like, walking into Icon is like nothing you've ever experienced. It's just the coolest place in the world. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like, yep, this is the place. I want to work here. So I put my application in, and thank God I was Ableton certified. I think that's the only thing that got me the job. You know, so yeah, that was. I don't know that you'd be able to replicate that, but what you could replicate is the fact that I, with reckless abandon, wanted not to work at Outback anymore. Like, I almost risked it all, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't like when I quit, my boss was being a total dick to me one day, like, just took me in the office and was like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. And I was like, I don't need this. You know what I'm saying? And I left. And I was like, that's like, you made my mind up. Thank you, dude. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for making my mind up right now. You know what I'm saying? And I bounced out of there. And then I knew, I was like, yo, you better start studying real hard, dude, because, you know, so, I mean, like, I guess what you could take away from it is, like, if you really want something, just go for it, man. Like, I didn't know I was going to, like, you know, be able to get hired at Icon. I mean, yeah, it was New Year's Eve, actually, that I got the call, and it was like, oh yeah, you want to come in for an interview? And once that, I mean, I'm a personable guy. I knew that once I got the interview, I was getting hired. So as soon as I got the phone call, like, I was like, dope, I'm in. So, like, but you never know. You don't know. You just wait and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get the call back or not. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like, what am I going to do for money? But, like, yeah, as soon as that happened, it was like amazing. Anyway, point is, if that's what you want to do, you'll make it happen. Like, just like I had my little pocket open up for me, your pocket will open up for you, because I'm going to be honest with you, dude. Like, even while I was working at Outback and knew that I had to get out, there was a lot of times when I would work like 10-hour days. Like, this was most days. I would work like, 9-10 hour shift, and then I would come home, drink a coffee or whatever, and then I would just work another 10 hours on my Ableton, just like memorizing things and learning shortcuts and everything. And like a lot of times I would like fall asleep at my desk, like it was like honestly, and then I would just like drag myself to bed. And so, like, my point is, like, I was in it to win it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was not taking no for an answer. Like, one way or another, this was totally happening. So that's the one thing that you can take away from it. It's like, if you really, really want something, go and get it. Like, don't let anything stop you. And honestly, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy, man. Like, if you really want something and you put your mind to it, and I'm not just saying like, oh, I want this. Like, no, I mean, like, if you really, really want something and you go for it with 100% of yourself, you're going to get it. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to get it. Like, who's going to stop you? You're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. So that's the thing you can take away from it. Maybe not the specific steps of what I did, because that worked for me, but there's new opportunities and new things opening up every single day, that like, that somebody could get involved in,
Yeah. And just to give my perspective on that kind of same thought on, like, well, one thing, you worked at Outback and you hated it. And
so much.
I originally was, I got into Berklee College of Music. Like, I did the application, I got accepted and everything, and that was dope, but it was just too expensive to go.
Sure.
Like, I would have ended up in massive debt.
Sure.
And probably just ended up working at Starbucks, which I actually did end up working at eventually later. But point is, I couldn't go and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So instead, I took a semester off and I just worked at a fast food place.
Okay.
And I was like, this is so awful. There is no fucking way that I am ever going to do this again. And so I just picked something to go to college for. I went to school for business, hated it, ended up in engineering, and found kind of like a second passion aside from music. And, the point is, like, that kind of pain you feel working a thing you hate is a pretty strong motivator to make you figure out life. And it kind of makes me, when people say like, no, I never worked a job like that. I just went straight into college and I never worked, and then I get a job out of college or whatever path they take. I'm like, you kind of missed out on a huge source of pain and motivation, because every time I think about, should I work hard on this? Should I do something to push this passion or like thing at work further? And it's like, well, I don't want to end up back there because that sucked.
Totally.
And yeah, and that pain pushed me through college. And, while I like what I do now, that kind of motivation pushes me to kind of do what you're doing, is like, I work my day job, and then after I kind of work a second day job doing music, because it's what I love to do and I want to make it happen. So I totally agree with everything you just said, but I guess and one thing you brought up is you see a lot of opportunities now. If you kind of like, let's say you were 18 or 20-year-old Jerry right now, and you're looking at the world how it is, what would be kind of your first plan of attack to, like, would you jump back into trying to work at a place like Icon, or work at even a different kind of online school? Would you try to do courses? Would you say screw that?
Are you saying the way things stand right now?
Yeah, it's like the current world. If you didn't have all your experience.
I got the answer for you. So you want to become the best at one thing. I don't care what it is. And for me, it was become Ableton certified. At the time, there wasn't like nobody knew. Like people are more educated on Ableton now because people are just really into it. But at the time, it wasn't that popular. It was becoming popular, but it wasn't like that popular. We're talking back at like Ableton 8, remember? So like, right. Me spending the time and just becoming arguably, I know a lot. Let's just say that I know a lot about Ableton. That's what I would say was my I don't know, my flag, you know what I'm saying? That kind of made me stand out. So I would say get good, get amazing at one thing. And this is why, like, same thing as like, you wouldn't want to do another Serum YouTube channel, right? Because I don't care how good you are at Serum. There's already like 7 or 8 million really good Serum channels. There's no point in doing it. So what I would say is pick something that people aren't doing, and become amazing at it. Or it doesn't really matter, whatever it is, just become the best at it, like the best at it. I'm talking like know it backwards, read the manual 5 times, like that kind of thing. And once you know something, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be like picking your nose. If you're the best at it, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, how did you do that?" Like, I want to get a booger like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter what it is you do. If you're the best at it, people are gonna come seek you out. And this is a great thing because like social media is so huge. So like, it doesn't matter if you're like, maybe you're the best at making snares and kick drums, right? So maybe you have a little handheld recorder and you just go around everywhere. And this is like your thing. You film yourself going around everywhere, getting different sounds from playgrounds or whatever. And you just make the best fucking kicks and snares and percussion sounds or whatever. And I go to your YouTube channel and you're telling me how the best way to convert the sounds and, add this effect and to make them the blah, 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 right? Well, you're eventually going to gain traction because there is so many people that don't know how to make, even me. I mean, if you know it like that, I'm gonna watch your video because I would love to know what you figured out. So it's like if I'm talking to somebody who's like 18, 19, 20, who it doesn't matter what age you are, if you want to seriously get into this scene and make actual noise in this scene, you have to become a leader in the community. Think about all of the people that blew up. Think about, like, what's the difference? And I love both of these groups, Virtual Riot and Barely Alive. I love them both. But why is Virtual Riot so much more popular than Barely Alive when arguably they sound very similar? Why is one more popular than the other? Why did Company blow up? You know what I'm saying? When there's tons of people who make that type of music, right? Well, I'll tell you what I think. It's because not only did they have a cool brand, like they all make great music, but they give back to the community in the sense that Virtual Riot was one of the first people that did like the 10-minute drop, right? He had all these live streams showing you how to make the sounds that he was making and stuff. And same thing with Company. He worked for Cymatics and he did that first animals pack, I believe it was, the animal serum pack, where I think he was clever enough to go to the zoo and like sample a bunch of animal sounds and make wavetables out of animal sounds. Nobody did that. Nobody ever did that shit, you know, and that put him on the map. That put him on the map, dude. So my point is, people that give back to the community are instantly going to stand out more when, like I said, Virtual Riot and Barely Alive have very much the same branding. Arguably, Barely Alive has a better brand with the cool fucking mask and everything. Like, arguably, Barely Alive has a better brand, but no, they don't. Virtual Riot has a better brand. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that he, you know, gave back to the community way more than, I know that Barely Alive does a little bit, but not anywhere near what Val does. You know, so that's,
yeah, and if you look at the Barely Alive logo too, just alone, I mean, I think it's I think it's a lot cooler.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
not to shame Virtual Riot. He's
he's believe me, I love
at
that
what he
guy.
does. But
I love that guy. But and I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though Barely Alive's like actual branding is maybe a little more attractive, Val did it right. He was the people's champ. You know what I'm saying? So you need to become, that's in a nutshell, you need to become the people's champ somehow. You need to become somebody that people turn to for advice. You need to be a leader in the community. And then also you need to have dope music, you know? And that's a whole other thing. But yeah, that's the combination, I think. That's the combo, having dope music and something to offer the world. You know what I'm saying? More than just your music, because unfortunately, I feel like, you know, if there's a 100 pie, I feel like your music is like 40%, unfortunately, you know, because everybody's making good music these days. But why do I care about you? And that's the question. You see what I'm saying? Why do I care about you? You know what I mean? And the reason I care about you is, I don't know, X, Y, Z, right? Maybe you're like, think about like Dylan Francis, right? He would do, and same with Getter. He would do all those funny videos where they would dress up like girls and drive around and bullshit with people, and that was interesting. You know what I'm saying? And people like that stuff, and that's why they have huge brands. I mean, do they make any different music than like anybody else in the industry? I mean, not really, right? Not really.
It's kind of the case with a lot of, like, there's just so much music that comes out, and I forget what number Spotify says, but it's like 10,000 or 50,000 new songs a day. Some crazy
wow,
number.
A day? Jesus.
It's something like that. It's something obscene, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm probably saying the wrong number, but
no, but still, I mean,
it's like, you know, it's like tens of thousands, I believe. And
Jesus. So you got to figure out some way to cut through that, you know? You got to figure out some way to cut through all that and be more important, or at least somewhat relevant.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, you know, we both make music, and I think we both understand that if you just put out a song, there's no such thing as having a song just take off on its own. Like, everything has to be pushed off. And if, like, a lot of people will say great music promotes itself, and it's just like I've said it in a couple of videos, but it definitively does not. And like, I think the branding and the marketing is like
huge.
It's more than 50%, unfortunately. But
well, think of Marshmello. I hate to say it.
Yeah, I hate to say it. I like a lot of Marshmello stuff, but like, he's, I don't know, what is he, like number 1 on Spotify or top 10 or something? And I don't think his music, while I like some songs, I don't think he's 15th in the world.
Wow.
Like,
that's insane.
Put that on screen. No, I can't even fit it on the screen, but he's 15th in the world right now.
Insane.
And while I like some of his songs and like some of his music's great, he's not the best songwriter and music maker in the world. He's not 15th best songwriter in the world, in my opinion. And I'm sure no one really thinks that. But the branding, the freaking Marshmello helmet, and the kind of secrecy, and the fact that he collabs with every single big musician in the world.
And plus, you know, he was on American Ninja Warrior. I doubt it was him, but he was on American Ninja Warrior. He had somebody complete the chorus in The Mask. You know, he actually got to the top and rang the bell. And then he was in Fortnite for a while, the game Fortnite. So like, his agent's good.
Did you do a live, like a Fortnite live thing with Travis Scott?
Yeah. His agent's good. His agent's definitely good.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of people like that. I don't want to make fun of too many big artists. I
I'm not making fun. I'm not. It's just it's a fact. It's a fact that branding is very, very important. That's all we're trying to illustrate. When nobody's making fun, I don't think I'm making fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun, so hopefully no one gets all mad. Someone's gonna comment, Marshmello is the best songwriter in the world.
They might. I'd love that.
I'll have to fight you in the comments if you put that. But, so outside of that, like, are there any other? I mean, I know we just kind of broke off a little tangent, but
it's okay.
Are there any other like music, I guess, businessy or music income sources that you currently have, or is that's like your entire game? I mean, like you have a YouTube channel, you have music, but
yeah, I mean, but you know, I do freelance as well, where I do mixing and mastering. I just got I'm sure I could say I just got a song picked up by Major Lazer. Did a remix for them. Got paid pretty good for that. So I mean, you know, there's you make money like in the industry. Like people need you to mix things. People need you to do remixes. I just did a remix. You know, got paid for a couple of remixes actually over the last couple of months. So yeah, remixes, mixing, mastering, lessons, teaching, courses, it all adds up, dude. It all adds up, you know, and the bigger your brand gets, which is I'm still working on, you know, I'm every day working on making my brand just a little bit bigger. Well, that just means I have more people that I could sell my stuff to, right? So, or more people, like, maybe that sounds like an asshole. I meant more people that, well,
more people you can help. You know,
but it's not even who. I mean, I don't mean sell myself. Just more people that would be interested in the product that I would have. Let's put it that way, and potential customers actually. You know, because I do have to make a living. You know, I got, you know, like I said, I got a kid on the way and a wife. You know what I'm saying? And you know, you like to.
It's weird. The music industry is kind of the only industry where some people get shamed for wanting to like make a living. I've noticed, like, a lot of people will be like, oh, these greedy musicians trying to monetize their work. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but like I go online and I always, like, back when people were stealing music, people were like all offended that artists were suing people and whatever. And
I think Metallica is the biggest culprit there. And I think if anybody, I think they're like the biggest. They think they might be the biggest rock or metal group in the world. I think they could afford to let some people LimeWire their music. I think that's where that came.
I mean, I personally agree. I'm not the type of person that's super monetized in the music thing, but there is kind of like a negative connotation,
maybe,
of like musicians trying to make a living with their music. I mean, maybe it's because you're kind of servicing musicians and other producers and other creatives, so maybe you don't see that, but I've seen that in a lot of like online places where it's kind of like
interesting,
almost a downside if like a musician wants to or even a YouTuber like wants to sell merch or wants to make a Patreon or something. I've seen a lot of people like on YouTube comments and other channels being like, how dare you sell this thing and not give it out to the world? I'm guessing you haven't seen much of this.
No, I guess it's like anything else, man. You give them an inch, they want a mile. It's like, remember what I was saying at the beginning of our conversation, that like when YouTube was first kind of blowing up as a place where you could educate yourself, I was beside myself with the fact, like, just humbled and thankful that this was free. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I could watch a video and this guy's going to show me how to do this. And like I said, after like 10 years, 15 years of that, people, they want everything for free. Oh my God, you ran 2 ads. Oh my God, I had to wait 10 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, so I get it though, but that's just how people are. You're going to get people trolling you no matter what you do, you know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to take it. I mean, like, it never bothers me. I've never had people say it to me, although now that I said it, people probably will say it to me. How dare you sell this product? But yeah, you know, you mentioned, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, you know, not every musician is like this crazy Metallica type person. And
can I interrupt you 1 second? They don't even exist anymore. Like I said, they don't even exist anymore. Most of your favorite acts, barring the guys that have been in it from the beginning, most of your favorite acts, like your new favorite acts, they all have other jobs, bro. Like they do. Like a lot of them do. And if they don't, they're not living the lives you think they're living. Like, you know what I mean? There is no such thing as Linkin Park or Metallica, Rockstar. Rockstars don't really exist anymore, bro, because so many people are musicians nowadays. So many people have brands nowadays that the rockstar doesn't exist anymore. So I just wanted to stop you there and say, just making music alone, most likely, unless you're like a huge act, is not going to support you. Just and then you're just waiting for, okay, haha, and then you're waiting for the festival season. But then what happens when Corona happens, you know, and then all of the festivals are canceled? Right. What do you do now if you have no other, you know what I'm saying? So it's tough, especially right now, being a performer, and probably for the next year or so, you know what I mean? So yeah, like right now, if you're just a performer, you're
kind of screwed.
Kind of, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to people on like Instagram DMs and stuff, and they're like, man, like performing was 60% of my income. Like I went from being like a pretty well off and kind of like this was going to be my biggest year ever. I had shows lined up, to being like, I just got set back 5 years. I'm going to be like filing for like welfare or, you know, whatever government assistance. And it totally sucks. I mean, unfortunately, there's nothing you can really do about it. But what you're bringing up is like most musicians have multiple income sources. And I'm sure you've seen, I don't know if you follow Periphery or the members of Periphery on Instagram, but I think it was Matt Halpern, the drummer, posted a picture showing all of their monetization sources, and there was like 30 options there. And they're like, if someone said, who's the biggest band in metal right now? Aside from like Tool or Metallica, like that niche of metal, I would say Periphery.
Sure.
And even they had like 29 other sources of income aside from music. They had merch. They had one-on-one lessons live. They had Twitch live streams where they get donations. They have YouTube channels where they put ads. They have courses. They have Kemper packs. They have
their instruments.
Sample packs. They have instruments. They have plugins. And when one of the biggest bands in metal is doing that, and they made a statement like years ago about why they were coming out with products, and they were just like, listen, like music alone in touring just doesn't really pay enough to live well. Like he was like, we could like survive off of this, but what's the point in like, if, you know, these guys, they're getting older and they want to get married. They want to, they don't want to tour 250 days a year.
Exactly.
You come up with all these ways to make money while you sleep, or like, so if tours get canceled, you're not fucked. And all of a sudden you're like, well, okay, little Billy, you're not eating this week, kind of thing. You know, you don't want that to happen. So, yeah.
No, it's in the same way. Like they were smart to like build their brand. They're very popular, so their fans want to support them, and they make good products. To be honest with you, like I've got a couple of their amps and stuff, so it's like, you know, I mean, they make good products, man.
The Get Good drum libraries.
Yeah, I got
like
that too. Yeah, for sure.
My favorite, and they're cheaper than like some of the competitors too, which is great.
So, you know, I think we're like, yeah, man, just kind of like kind of reinforcing what we're saying. It's like, you know, become some type of a leader in the community. Just become some type of a brand that people want to follow, and then have something for them to grab from you. Like not only, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're going to give them some free stuff on your YouTube channel, but then the premium product is what, you know, what's going to help you survive, you know? So that's, in a nutshell, that's the trick, man. That's the trick, becoming somebody that's, and that just takes time, as of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, geez, you're up at 15K now, which is amazing. You know what I'm saying? And that just comes day after day after day after day, and success, failure, success, failure, success. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're somebody that's like, oh yeah, there's Andrew again. You know, it's my boy Andrew talking about some shit that I want to listen to, you know? And there it is, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of newbies in, like, whether it's music or YouTube, they don't realize that a lot of this stuff isn't like a lucky break kind of scenario. It's like consistent quality work.
Totally.
For years.
Totally.
I mean, like, especially getting good at music. Like I've seen a lot of producers, like, I don't really get into too much of the production videos anymore, so I don't get these comments, but I've seen it on various Facebook groups where someone's like, oh, I've been making music for 2 months, and like I put out a song and no one's listening to it. It's like, I don't mean to like crush your spirit, but like you really gotta give it more time. You gotta have thicker skin. You gotta be willing to work for, you know, years. I mean, I've been making music for 16 years. You've been making music for longer, 20 something. So it's like, it doesn't come overnight, and I think it's hard for a lot of people to grasp. And the business side of things is the same thing. Like, you didn't you didn't do everything that you do by some lucky break or overnight. Like you had this kind of long twisted journey that all started with hating working at Outback, which is
True.
kind of a funny thing to think about.
The catalyst, yeah, just had to get out of it.
Catalyst for your motivation and growth. And
Yep.
And for me, as I mentioned, kind of that's similar pain of like desperately not wanting to work fast food. And it's different now, but still it's takes years.
Anything worthwhile takes time. Absolutely. There's no.
Yeah.
I heard a good quote. It takes 10 years to blow up overnight.
Yeah. And another great quote. I don't remember who said it, but the quote is, "If it was easy, then everyone would be doing it."
I think that was from A League of Their Own, right? Wasn't that Tom Hanks?
maybe some like CEO retweeted it or something. But, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like if something was easy to do, like there wouldn't be such a thing as a like famous musician, because if everyone's famous, no one's famous, kind of
thing.
Sweet
and sour roll.